Hello, I'm John Bayliss Post, and this poem is called Reredos. Miguel's nearly 80, past scrambling up the ladder to retouch the gilding. He kneels at the coffin trellis, mumbling sins he wishes he'd committed. I didn't wish, I did. The sins were fresh then, so he's my lineage. Aloft I fitted the saints in their niches, lifting four-handed and reckoning calloused workshop hours and days. A rude choir of ducks. A marsh harrier puts them up, panicked and warning, from the lapping pewter lagoon. The head of the screen, blunt like a wildfowler's punt, arches over the saints. They don't need shelter here. Carved, gilded, painted faces. I painted the Virgin. Now there's an irony. Routine faces, dolls' heads, man or woman, a beard or two, but mine was a portrait. Carmen. The boys all knew it. Hell, they all knew her. Two ibis cocks fighting over a hen. She flutters in wait. They fly at each other, grunting. One wades away. The priests tithed peasants' thin cattle and dry crops to the glory of God. It paid our wages and our pleasures. At night, the devotional 50-cent candles glitter the gilt. In the morning, they gutter, trickle, dribble lost hope hardening down the iron spikes. Elsewhere, there's a slot. Drop the coin, and a spiritual light bulb flickers on. Irreverent flamingos cackle together in the distance, a pink stripe among the reed beds. The faithful take photos. Cosmos and Damien can't see each other. They stand forever the way I set them, eyes averted to the congregation, smug with benign rococo suffering. I could have swapped them, brother to catch a glimpse of brother, but I'm sure God loves a little mischief. They were carved by an apprentice. I hid them in the top row, less visible to the priests. Miguel thinks he still hears the plover's whistle. After Mass, he scans by habit for tonsured vultures above the haze.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim McElroy and delighted that Mary O'Donnell has chosen this poem as a finalist for the Fingal Poetry Prize. The poem takes its title from the Irish for Belfast, Bill Firstja, meaning river mouth. River mouth. When we met, your pupils drilled like bullets, your dropped jawbone open as a set trap. On the front line, turrets rose like rutted molars. At the back, black stumps capped balaclava. In the long days, your flagged streets, short fuse, raw nerves at siren pitch. In the dark horizons of your throat, the demolition men, palls of smoke, blown up cheeks, body bags like pulled teeth. Down both sides, gaping holes muzzle deep, the bile at your base full as a moat. Nighttime, the line terraces your pulled down blinds, muffled music, the throb of Lambeg bore on. But you soldiered on, your steel edge held. In the huddled shadows, you met them. I heard your mumbling jaws. You drilled in posts, built bridges, suction pumped the bilge. Now your troubled mouth has calmed, even smiles. The front line shines, music swirls. On Cave Hill, Divis, bright lights. on the shorelines, cruise ships lined like veneers, your back teeth white as iceberg. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Chandrika Narayanan Mohan, and I'm going to read my poem Stargazing with My Mother, which I wrote the day of the SpaceX launch. We've seen stars fall before, she says, over the phone as we peer out over rooftops from different sides of Europe, looking for a blip or a spark against the blue, trying not to mistake a rocket for a star. You need binoculars, she says, and I remember how she demonstrated before handing me a pair as the Hale-Bopp comet blazed across a New Delhi sky. Look, over there, she exclaimed one time, pointing to a needle streak of white as we stood outside a Swiss hotel, not caring what people would think of two Indian women gazing upwards into the night. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anne Cousins. Thank you for inviting me to read at the Fingal Poetry Festival. Sestina for Maggie. Returning from night duty, she sidestepped sleeping forms in the sanctuary of the front room, on mattresses, sleeping bags and quilts. She dipped a finger in holy water, blessed other mothers, boys and girls united in a sacred cause, cooked soda farls and Ulster fry, a feast for brave men and women, but she considered this the business of men. Later, the door was kicked in by police in Free State uniforms. She kept her mouth right tight because, whatever you say. She fixed the ransacked rooms and brought the Wayans to school, her own sweet girls and boys, came home and slept for hours under a quilt. The homemade applique patterned quilt, a wedding gift stitched by grandmother and mother, the women who warned her to wise up to that Rathlin boy. Now he's home, wild drunk. Who told the guards? Who'd inform on their own? He rants and kicks the chairs, wrecks the room. She listens, rues the day she met him at the causeway of Finn McCool and mighty Antrim men causing her to lose the head. She loved the bagpipes and many kilts at the Lammas Fair, and he kissed her in the back room at her cousin's wake, bought her dulce and yellow man. Horses cost money, and hospitality's not cheap. The bank informed him of the plan to recover costs, and one of the uncle's boys bought the house. A cousin got the land in Armoy for a song. They packed up, moved south. No family laws to protect her then. Husbands signed official forms. She saved the Japanese tea set, a painting of the Glens, and the quilt. They opened a boarding house where lost young men would not be found. In one of the back bedrooms, the boys installed young Sean. He needed room for his hobbies. A great pair of hands on that wee boy could fix anything. But she wept when Birmingham was blown apart, men and women, innocent folks all slaughtered for a bitter old cause. Last year, she got up at 2 a.m, made dinner for dead men, spilt boiling water on her feet. The neighbours heard her and informed the family. The care units for women only because old men stray from room to room like wild, bad-mannered boys. They wrap her in her quilt. Her children sign the forms. Sestina for Maggie.
Hello, my name is Monica Devalish, and I'm delighted to be a finalist in the Fingal Poetry Contest. My poem is called The Grey Scrape of the Spring, and that title is borrowed from a story collected by Lady Gregory called The Woman That Was a Great Fool. The poem is set in the townland of Coolbrook, County Wexford, earlier this year, March 2020. the grey scrape of the spring. Notwithstanding the emergency, construction continues in the rookery. After the battering of 3 successive winter storms, there's no shortage of materials, but morale is fraught. Some desperation drives the horse manoeuvres. Anxiety is contagious through the raw scaffold wooded sky. I grew up among them, their family, but Rook's rules of social interaction baffle me. The ruthless rattled tumble scrapping over pairings, nestings, the screeched flapping over who knows what jealousies, fidelities, primeval fears, survival instincts, twigs. In every crisis, they carry on. There's my reassurance. In the clearing, my solitary hive. The bees are flying, their stores depleted. Anticipating problems I might find inside on spring inspection, I keep my distance. Shallow breathe, try to trust their impeccable housekeeping. Dead winter bees ejected, exhausted workers gasping in the grass. Is this a noble death, if not a good one? Crosswinds, unsteady return landings. God sent cargo in too few pollen baskets. All within this townland's little scope, gorse is flowering in the ditches, whetting steely skies keen as razors. The grey scrape of spring was never sharper. Yellow hope is snagged on nervous yaks. I'll have to be a better nester. I'll forage till I drop. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chandrika Narayanan Mohan and I am going to read my poem Ararat. My mother is a Bible. She inks her sadness into uniform lines that I reach for in the comfort of darkness to trace fingers along familiar choices. My mother is a prayer. She becomes the psalms that I chew over dinner, the repetition in my fury, the snarl in my hair. My mother is risen. She holds aloft a tumor the size of a cathedral in gold mosaic. Radiation like sunshine, warm with blood. My mother is a prophecy. She screams across the desert, her tongue a testament as she teeters above the memories of a deluge. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Kirk and I'm delighted to be a finalist in the Fingal Poetry Prize this year. My poem is called Hard Swallows. Every summer they came back, hard swallows with pinched city faces, bullet heads, black boots and braces, ink tattoos and traces of abuse we took for attitude. Sitting on the wall across from Leisureland, drinking cider, spitting, shirts off in the midday sun. We crossed the road to pass them, trying to look down, but our eyes were drawn to these exotic summer visitors, thirsty for a sip of urban squalor, bored with the blunt routine of school and farm and this backwater. By evening their numbers grew. The squad car took a turn around the town. The air felt heavy like a storm might break. The pubs won't serve, but the dark dunes welcome them, along with certain girls who can't resist their tattooed arms, flat vowels that bend their names into a novel sound, unfamiliar, overwhelmed with wistful possibility, until the word gets out and there's murder on the street. While happy families sleep, it starts with threats, builds to shouts and screams, breaking glass, car engines roaring down the darkened street. Sun rises and the town is not the same. Shopkeepers boarding broken windows, sweeping glass out of the road, boiling kettles to remove the blood that dries like clotted paint on concrete. Every summer was the same. Every summer they came back.
Hi, my name is Etna Lannan. I'm delighted my poem Ilan Shunnock was selected as a finalist in the Fingal poetry competition. And just to say by way of introduction to this piece, I wrote it as part of a series of poems I'm writing about North County Dublin, where I'm living. So this poem was written from Shennock Island in Skerries, and the word Shennock is an anglicisation of the Irish word Shunnock, meaning fox. Ilan na Shunnock, Shennock Island, Skerries. Salt-wrapped Martello, and the night world brimming. Paw prints gleam on sand, small pockets of silt vanishing into the shoreline. Thin thread of strand at low tide, dark doorway her shadow makes on water. You could gaze through it forever and never touch her centre. Tall grasses tilt in the breeze, curtain of sky haze lifting, and under the glow of Rockabille's beam, all things turn silver, even the unspoiled world of the vixen's glossy pelt, her onyx eyes and perfect measure. She fits her skin so precisely. How singular a body can be in its movement, yet vast and diffuse in stillness, the way a flock of starlings rises undivided, dips, disperses, each part all at once separate and bounded. Blue of midnight, voice of the sea slurring on the craggy tide line, moon pools of shadowed pearl, light at last resting in rocky crevices. How we look for sounds and syllables to pause the flow of things, to slow it all down for us. Doorway opening into the other time, and no going back now, but to go on beginning.